Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, this is Will the Dragon Whisperer with another video for the channel. And in this video I'm going to be highlighting one of my rock stars here at the rescue, Pyro. He is my Egyptian Uromastyx, about a year old. Adopted him a couple months back from Craigslist from a family that was having a little difficulty. They were scared to handle him, tail whipped a lot. This guy was left in his enclosure for months without anybody really giving him any attention. They were kind of unsure on the care, so I took this guy in. He's been doing great. Still definitely very skittish, as you'll see when I handle him later in the video. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please smash that like button. Don't forget to ring that notification bell. Subscribe if you haven't already. So stay tuned. We're going to get right into it. Enclosure, setup, care, diet, temperatures, all the things you need to know to take care of your Uromastyx if you happen to get one. So please stay tuned, and here we go.
Okay guys, here we have Pyro in his enclosure, and one of the struggles that you will have with the Uromastyx enclosure is a lot of times you have to go really big because you want a warm side ambient temperature between 85 and 105 degrees, and then you want a cool side between 80 and 85 degrees, but you want a basking spot. That basking spot needs to be between 120 and 130 degrees for adults and as high as 135 degrees for juveniles. So to get a basking spot that hot and then get a cool side that cool, you're talking about from 125 to 80 degrees. That's a 45-degree difference.
Check out the big brain on bread.
A lot of times you have to go really big. Now I have chosen to go with a 36 by 18 by 12, and because of the lower enclosure, I can have my lights closer to his basking rocks and his basking area, and I've used some pretty big rocks here to elevate it. Uromastyx love rocks. They live on rocks in the wild, and their habitat is nothing but rocks for miles. So he has this little rock cave there. They really like a hide on the hot spot and a hide on the cool spot. He gets underneath his little cave there on the cool spot and hides, but those temperatures is hard to attain if you have those lights really high, because that basking bulb heat is going to be spreading out across the enclosure as it goes down. So it kind of goes out into a cone type shape, and so you're going to have that heat spread out into a larger area, and it's going to be harder to get that cool side. Now I have my temperature gun here. He's fairly skittish right now. You guys will see when I handle him in the video, but I'm going to just scan over his basking area right here, and you guys can see it gets up to 127 degrees, which is perfect. And then even though I have the small enclosure, this is only 36 inches wide, and he's a juvenile, he's only about a year old, and it takes about 3 years for these guys to get to adults. But Pyro is such a beautiful creature. Another thing that I will note is these guys do not drink water. You'll see I don't have a water bowl in his enclosure. These guys can absorb moisture through their skin, so it's not really a good thing to bathe your Uromastyx unless he's shedding. They don't really need it because, like I said, they can absorb moisture right through their skin. But these guys live in habitats where there is no water for 5 to 7 miles away from them, so they get all the moisture they need from the seeds and the vegetables they eat. They do not have to drink water. I've talked to breeders that said they've kept Uromastyx for 10 plus years that have never had a water bowl in their enclosure ever. So I'll mist him about once a week, and I will mist inside of his hide there about once a week to give it a little bit of moisture, because Dave Kaufman has showed in his videos, and if you guys don't know Dave Kaufman, you should follow him, check him out. But he actually goes to the habitats of a lot of these animals in the wild, and he has showed that Uromastyx do burrow sometimes at night, and the burrows that they burrow down into often have higher levels of humidity. You do want a humidity level of between 20 and 40% inside of these guys' enclosures. His is right at 40 right now, but like I said, I just misted his little hide yesterday, and these guys will develop white patches or white deposits kind of around their nostrils, and this is because to slow down their water consumption inside of their body, they will actually secrete mineral salts. They have a special gland inside their nostrils, and it can actually secrete mineral salts. Yes, I'm talking about you, buddy. You're such a stud. He is such a pretty boy. And those glands can secrete salts, and that helps them retain and slow down the moisture consumption in their body. So, but this is Pyro's enclosure. He has a lot of nice big rocks. He has his hide, and I use a heating element and a basking bulb to achieve those temperatures. And like I said, the shorter, smaller, compact enclosure gives me a lot of easier time achieving those temperatures in a smaller space. But when he gets to be an adult, which they usually reach about the 3-year mark, Pyro will be moving into a much larger enclosure, probably something like a 4x2. These guys can cohabitate, which is really freaking awesome. So I'm looking for Pyro a girlfriend right now. And but females, I've talked to breeders that said if you have a large enough enclosure, like a 4x2 or a 6x3x3, you can have multiple 3 or 4 females in there together as long as they have plenty of places to burrow and hide. And you can have, one male with 2 or 3 females as long as you don't ever have more than 2 males. I'm sorry, more than 1 male. Never can you have 2 males together, no matter what. Even if they're brothers, they don't want to hang out. Males will always fight and try to establish dominance. I'm surprised he stays still this long. I do want to show you these guys are dimorphic as far as sexually. You can tell the males from the females because just like bearded dragons and some other reptiles, they have the hemipenal bulges. So he's probably going to try to tail with me. And as you can see, this thing is prehistoric and it is really hard and sharp. But I'm going to go ahead and grasp his tail here. As you can see, he's going crazy because he's not going to like it. But Pyro has the 2 hemipenal bulges there that are a telltale sign that he is a boy. Hard to show there on the camera. You can see the one bulge there on the left a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and let him escape. And these guys have such an ability to flex their body, bend their neck back, and wedge themselves into rocks. That's what that tail is for. That's their defense mechanism, and it makes it nearly impossible for a predator to extract those guys out of their little hide or their little rock burrow in the wild. So that's Mr. Pyro's enclosure. Briefly, I forgot to show you guys earlier when I was showing you temperatures, but I'm going to click a temp over here on the cool side, and see we have 84 degrees over here on the cool side. And so even though I have the 127 degree basking spot, I'm still able to reach the 80 degrees over here by having the small lower enclosure.
When the sun had left and the winter came and the skyfall could only bring the rain, I sat in darkness, all broken hearted. I couldn't find a day, I didn't feel alone. I never meant to cry, started losing hope. But somehow, baby, you broke through and saved me. 'Cause you're an angel, tell me you're never leaving. 'Cause you're the first thing I know I can't believe in. You're holy, 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 holy. I'm high on loving you, high on loving you. You're holy, 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 holy. I'm high on loving you, high on loving you. You made the brightest days from the darkest nights. You're the riverbank where I was baptized, cleansed all my demons, killing my freedom. Let me lay it down, give it to you. Get you singing, babe, hallelujah. You'll be touching heaven, we'll be touching heaven. You're an angel, tell me you're never leaving. 'Cause you're the first thing I know I can't believe in. You're holy, 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 holy. I'm high on loving you, high on loving you. You're holy, 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 holy. I'm high on loving you, high on loving you.
One thing briefly that I kind of failed to mention there is that these guys do require UVB. I have the 18-inch long UVB light, and at some point I'm going to try to mount that inside the enclosure because this screen is a fairly dense screen and is definitely blocking a lot of that UVB light. I've talked about that in earlier videos. The screen is really the enemy of UVB. And especially if you have an animal that is not going to climb and get out like a gecko or something, you really want to kind of have your light on the inside if possible, or have this screen removed so that UVB is probably blocking about 50% of your UVB lighting. And in the future, I hope to have a UVB meter so I can show you guys exactly what those screens do as far as taking away from your UVB rays that is getting to your animals. Now for a substrate, there are many things that you can use. I have chosen to use a linoleum type of a tile, but on this side I actually have Eco Earth mixed in with play sand. Definitely never ever use regular sand. If you use any kind of sands, you want it to be play sand. It's a consistency that's not gonna pack together and hold together even if it has a little moisture in it, and it's not gonna impact inside of your animal, especially if you mix it inside of other things. These guys can get impacted, so I definitely recommend using a play sand and Eco Earth substrate mixture. And these guys are going to eat a variety of vegetables. They're definitely herbivores. They will take insects. Pyro every now and then will eat a cricket or a superworm as a treat, but it's not really that healthy for them, so I don't recommend giving it to them often, even if they will eat it, because it's not something they particularly eat in the wild as part of their diet. Their digestive system is not really made for it, but you definitely want to give it a variety of greens. Here I have cabbage and some peppers and carrots, and you want to steer away from things like lettuce, though. There's a lot of vegetables that don't have any real nutrition to them, and I'll put a list of those up on the screen. And there are some vegetables that are toxic to these animals and can actually really do some damage to them and potentially kill them. So I'll also include a list of those toxic vegetables, but they can eat commercial birdseed. That's what I have here for him. And millet is one of the best things. These little pieces right here are millet. He loves these things, and these things are not prone to biting, like I'll show you later when I handle it, but you have to remember that their mouths are designed and jaws to crush seeds. That's their primary source in the wild. They find trees and hang out at the base of the trees looking for the seeds that fall to the ground, or when the fruit rots, they'll eat the seeds that from the seed-bearing fruit. But you definitely want to give it a variety of greens and some vegetables, and definitely a variety of seed and millet and lentils, dried peas. Definitely want to stay away from sunflower seeds, though. They're kind of pointy, and sometimes these guys can have problems digesting the sunflower seeds. So that's a little bit about what you want to feed and the diet of your Uromastyx. This tail is literally prehistoric. It is definitely like, I don't know, maybe it's called an Ankylosaurus. That's the right term. One of those dinosaurs, kind of like a little armored guy with the big club tail. But this thing is hard as rocks. I wish I could kind of show you guys how hard it is, but I don't want to bang anything on it, obviously. And the points on it are extremely pointy and sharp. I don't know if the camera's going to get an actual good shot of exactly how pointy those things are, but they are super sharp and pointy. And this is their defense mechanism. These guys love to tail whip. If I let his tail go here, you'll see, well, I can't get him to do it, obviously he doesn't want to perform for the camera now, but as you can see, the face on this guy, he's extremely beautiful, and the colors on the underside, he is starting to go through a shed on the top, so his skin's kind of hazing over. But as you guys can see on the bottom here, the colors are just incredible on the bottom of this guy, on the bottom of his face here. Beautiful bright oranges. And as you guys can see here, the way his jaw kind of overlaps there, that gives them the ability to help crush seeds. which is in hard peas and nuts and shells, is their main diet in the wild. And as you can see, he's got kind of the mineral deposits there at his nose too that helps them retain moisture better, that special gland in their nostrils. These guys come from northern Africa and the southern part of the Middle East. And they come in a bunch of different morphs and subspecies. I've actually seen blue ones lately, and there's obviously the yellow, the reds, the orange. These guys can be Saharan or Egyptian. There's a lot of different morphs and subspecies, and these guys can live about 10 years in the wild. Some people think up to 20 years, and in captivity there's still some questions, anywhere from 10 to 20 years in captivity. But Dave Kaufman and some people think these guys can live longer than 20 years in the wild, in a well-established area. So this is Pyro, the Uromastyx. And as far as one of the foods I forgot to discuss earlier is these guys can eat fruit. They can eat pear, watermelon, grapes, apples, raisins, mango, papaya, and they actually can eat a lot of flowers, but check for the ones that are toxic and harmful. But the Zumed flower topper, this guy really likes. It's just a bunch of dried flower leaves. It's a lot like potpourri, and Pyro really loves that. I put that on top of his food. There he's starting to get that little tail whip action in. He just tried to perform a little tail whip there, but I didn't have him where you guys could really see it. But that tail, he's always really ready to whip with that thing. But they don't bite. As you can see here, he's tried to struggle and get away from me, and I can even rub him here under his pretty little chin. But these guys do not really bite. That's not something that they're really into. There you saw the tail whip there in the background. See if I can get him to do it again. But usually that tail is where he wants to deal out the damage. But like I said, if you grasp that tail firmly, he's not going to be able to whip you with it. That's what I do when I'm handling him. While he's still trying to learn to calm down. But see, right now I'm not restraining him at all. I'm not holding him back. You want to try not to manhandle your animals. That destroys the trust, and what Kevin McCurley from Nerd likes to call bonds of trust. Definitely check out Kevin McCurley if you don't know him. I think he's one of the best guys in the world for handling creatures that don't want to be handled and turning them into sweetheart baby dolls. So check out Kevin McCurley from Nerd, N-E-R-D, New England Reptiles, if you don't know about him. But like I said, these guys come from North Africa and the southern Middle East. There's multiple morphs. Juveniles are about 2 to 4 inches. Adults can grow anywhere from 10 to 36 inches. They can get up to 3 feet long depending on the subspecies or the locale. And these guys do need a little bit more humidity when they're shedding. Like he's about to go into a shed, so I'm going to be misting him a little bit more. And these guys' poop look very similar to most reptiles. It'll be like a black kind of feces with a white urate. And as long as you're seeing that white urate, then you know they're getting plenty of moisture from their food and their seeds, even though these guys don't drink out of a water bowl or don't typically drink water at all. And so bathing maybe once a month, maybe, but these guys really don't need the water and they don't need the bathing. They don't get rain or they don't get baths naturally in the wild, so it's not something you really have to worry about unless they're having an issue with shedding. But I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing an up-close and personal glimpse into Mr. Pyro here. And I wish he would be a little more still, but that's just the nature of the beast at this present time in his socialization. So say bye to everybody, Mr. Pyro.
Okay guys, once again this is Will the Dragon Whisperer. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy getting up close and personal with Pyro and think he's just as cool and is an amazing animal as I do. I want to send a shout out to Hostways Exotics. If you guys have never checked out his channel, he's just getting started. Really cool guy. Got some cool videos on there about the reptiles that he keeps. He spells it Josue, Hostways Exotics. You guys should check him out. Please stay tuned to my videos in the future. Please, you guys, smash that like button. Ring that notification bell. And if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. Also, if you're interested in adding a gargoyle or a crested gecko, I've got some really awesome ones up on my website. I'm going to be putting that up here in the corner like I always do. And if you have any questions or comments, especially about the care of your animals or anything you see here at the rescue, please hit me up on my Instagram. I'll be putting that down here at the bottom. Thank you guys for all your support, especially all you guys that came over from Clint's Reptiles. You guys don't know how much that means to me. I appreciate all the exposure you're giving the channel. Please share it with everybody you can on your social media. This is Will the Dragon Whisperer, and I'm out.